Starting tomorrow, I'm no longer just a shipping clerk. I'm chairman of the board.
And it's all because of
Freekeene.com.
You guys with City Year?
Yes.
What is with all the uniformed young people I'm seeing all of a sudden?
This is a part of our uniform that we wear
I see.
on a daily basis. The red is very symbolic, like through idealism, and it's like very like burst of energy and color, and that's why we're wearing the uniforms.
I appreciate you answering, but you guys are federally funded though, correct?
Yes,
Partially,
we are.
yeah.
Partially.
So you're sort of an arm, it's in a sense like an arm of the federal government almost.
I wouldn't say armed of the federal government. I wouldn't use those terms, but we are partially funded by the federal government.
I see. What's the primary mission of City Year, if I might ask?
To decrease the high school dropout rate.
I see.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, I've heard some, people questioning City Year. I don't really know much about it, but then I saw you guys, so I thought I'd ask.
Sounds great.
All right. Appreciate you answering.
Our manager back there may know a bit more about it than we, or can give you some more answers.
All right. I'll ask. I appreciate it.
Have a good
Appreciate
afternoon.
transparency. You take care. I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you explain to me what City Year is?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Sure. City Year, we're a national nonprofit organization focused on reducing the high school dropout crisis. And so here in New Hampshire, we focus primarily in Manchester elementary schools, working in 3rd through 5th grade classrooms, really selecting those at-risk students who are just slightly beneath grade level to get them back on track by engaging 17 and 24-year-olds in those classrooms, as well as an after-school. Yeah.
Since you're funded by the federal government, what happens when, you come from the same organization that runs the DEA, right? So what happens if you run into a student who's committed a victimless crime, like they have drugs or something like that? Do you turn them in? Do you rat on them?
It's an interesting question. I think my first instinct, if I was a core member in that classroom, I would have conversations with my teacher about whatever situation I either overheard or has come to my attention. I think a lot of the schools that we do work with have if they're fortunate enough to have social workers on site, definitely have conversations with them about next steps, but really being able to more communicate those pieces to the appropriate people for next steps.
I heard you're a supervisor, is that correct?
So I'm actually a development associate. I'm office-based, and so I work primarily more in kind of development operations.
I see. One of the guys passing by said you were one of the supervisors, but neither of you are supervisors, is that correct?
So Nicole, she's a program
You're considered
manager.
a program manager, okay,
Yeah.
so you're higher up than he is.
No, we're the same level. I just
see.
manage the core members that work in the classrooms.
Okay, all right. Well, I can't think of anything else to ask you, but I just heard some concerns about City Year. Wasn't ready to ask any questions about City Year, but you just happened to be walking by, so appreciate you answering my questions. I thought you might not.
Thanks.
So, thanks, guys.
No problem.
They're all over the place in Manch today.
Egypt people is very nice, and if the Egypt people take my advice, they will strike down the one party state they fear. But that had better not happen here, 'cause we know that everything would fall apart if the city of Keene, New Hampshire starts to listen to the malcontents at Freekeene and sort of kind of cut spending. 'Cause the government needs some expensive things, like the wasteful 34 West building and the boondoggle jail where we put hat wearers and other people who could be considered swearers. Freaking.com